Americans United for Life has ranked Arkansas, the state of Arkansas, as the number one pro-life state in America. Now, I'll just have to say, I guess Louisiana had to give them another state an opportunity. I'm biased, okay. But some really good news, good things happening there in Arkansas. I have to say I'm proud of them. And they got a green light yesterday by the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals that has lifted a previous ruling that blocked four Arkansas pro-life laws going all the way back to 2017. But now the laws could very well be in effect by Christmas. What are those four acts? Well, joining me to talk about this is the Arkansas Attorney General, General Leslie Rutledge. General, welcome to the program.
Oh, good. How are you, Tony? Always good to speak to you. And yes, I had to give your good Attorney General, Jeff Landry, a run for his money and make Arkansas the most pro-life state in the union. Louisiana is blessed to have a great AG, but I had to make sure I keep losing to you all in football, and I have to send him bacon from Arkansas. So I had to win against you guys. But I think we all need to shoot to be number one and be in the most pro-life state.
I'm all about competition. And so I'm grateful that there are states competing to be the most pro-life states. And I'll have to say, when I look at these laws you've passed, you guys deserve that ranking. Explain those laws that you successfully got the Eighth Circuit to give a green light to yesterday.
Well, this has to do with discriminatory sex selection abortions and dismemberment. These are huge wins. We had, like you said, we had a big win yesterday from the Eighth Circuit, but we know that the defendants will try to appeal again and send it back to the trial judge. But we're going to keep fighting. We have won 4 out of 5 cases that have gone to court. We're waiting on another case to come down from the Eighth Circuit, and this is important for all of these, children, all the moms, all the people are kinsmen, and so these are just huge wins.
So these, based on the Eighth Circuit, the stay is removed, so these laws can actually go into effect. Is that right?
Well, there's a 7 or so day period that we're waiting on. So I guess now 6 days that it'll have to hold until we see what the defendants are going to do, what they're going to ask the courts. But ultimately, yes, that is that once these laws go into effect, and these children will be saved from sex discrimination by abortion and the barbaric practice of dismemberment.
Right. And, of course, one of them also requires doctors to notify law enforcement when anyone 16 or younger obtains an abortion. So, I mean, that's a great protection against these young people being traumatized by abortion. Also regulates the burial of the remains of aborted babies, again, addressing the humanity of the unborn. So, I mean, I commend you, and I know you've aggressively defended these laws on behalf of the citizens of Arkansas, so I thank you for that as well. And despite all of the kind of some of the unsettling news that we hear, there are a lot of good things happening, especially on the pro-life front.
Indeed, and that's what, when we are looking at cases across the country, I mean, we were very disappointed in the Supreme Court not agreeing with the case out of Louisiana that had been argued, that Liz Murrill, the Solicitor General of Louisiana, had argued earlier in the year. Arkansas was very supportive of that, but more and more Americans are recognizing that when life begins, and science is catching up with it, life begins at conception. Yeah. And Tony and you and I probably agree that, God knew us before we were in the womb.
Right.
And that, but however, we have to make sure that more and more Americans have access to that science and that we bring these cases to the courts so that way, hopefully now with a more conservative U.S. Supreme Court, that we will see some of these cases and some of these barbaric practices being overturned and, for the child and for the safety of the mother.
Right. But it's a process. And as a former legislator who actually the bill that Louisiana argued before the Supreme Court, the original version I did back when I was a legislator on the Clinic Regulation Act. But passing the law, I found, is just a small part of the process. To get it implemented, you have to have committed attorney generals in these states that are willing to defend and fight for these laws, and it sometimes takes a long, long time. So I commend you, Leslie, for being in that fight and working with the legislature there in Arkansas to ensure that these laws do, in fact, go into effect.
Well, absolutely. And like I said, we've got a great partner there in Louisiana. We've also got incredible attorneys general all across the region in Mississippi and Curtis Hill in Indiana that you just spoke with about the Google lawsuit. So it takes all of us, not just passing the laws like our legislators and signing them as governors, but fighting for them in court wholeheartedly to protect the life of the unborn.
And the good news is I think we are winning on the life front. So let's keep going. Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, thanks so much for joining us today, and Merry Christmas.